Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics. So following on from my impromptu video on the government's latest threat to breach the Brexit withdrawal agreement in respect of the Northern Ireland Protocol, I now need to talk about the very serious possibility that the Brexit deal itself may be cancelled. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news in politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So during my uncharacteristically unscripted video yesterday, I did say I hope I don't forget anything. This is the problem with just going for it. I have a habit of forgetting something important. There were a couple of things. But do you know what? And I was thinking to myself, right, so when I realised I'd forgotten, I thought, it's okay. We'll wait a couple of days. We'll see what the EU actually do. But then something else has happened. So we've got another video the following day. This could end up being like the Dominic Cummings saga, where you get one grisly revelation after another and it ends up running and running. But anyway, that's okay, because one of the things I'd forgotten to mention has transitioned from speculation into reality. So it works out. The title, Brexit deal could be cancelled. A little bit ambiguous, isn't it? Some uninformed Brexit supporters, yeah, I know, bit of a tautology that, uninformed Brexit supporters, but some uninformed Brexit supporters may be imagining that that means Boris Johnson has had enough and he's getting ready to tear up the deal. No, this is from the EU side. See, the thing is that Johnson rushed to ratify the deal in the UK without any real scrutiny from Parliament. Not so in the EU. The EU Parliament told us last year that if something wasn't agreed by November, there wouldn't really be the time to do so before the end of the year. Granted, we got some confused messages about this. It might be possible, might not. But the fact is that the EU Parliament have stuck by that assertion. Some people may not realise it, but the Brexit deal, the trade and cooperation deal, that is not the withdrawal agreement, the trade and cooperation agreement, hasn't actually been ratified by the EU. It's not really fully in place. The only reason we're going with the conditions of it is, you know, it's just a temporary measure until it is ratified. It has to be agreed by the EU Commission. It has been. Had to be agreed by the EU Council in principle. They gave it their blessing. But as the EU is deeply democratic, it also has to be agreed by the EU Parliament, unlike the UK Parliament. How's that for sovereignty? But for this, it needed translated into multiple languages. This takes time. It had to go through committees. That takes time. However, the timescale should still have allowed that vote to have taken place by now. Should have already been done and dusted. It has not. The EU Parliament added an extra delay to voting on the deal for a bit longer. I suspected at the time it was to see how we reacted to the implementation of Brexit. Put simply, the EU do not trust our government, and with good reason. Our little stunt last year to try and breach the withdrawal agreement did not make them keen to sign another deal quickly. After all, why make an agreement with someone who has breached an even smaller one that you made earlier that year? So I did mean to mention that yesterday as a possibility. Bear in mind the EU Parliament haven't yet ratified this. The threat that the EU Parliament could refuse to ratify the deal ever present. Well, there's been a bit of an announcement. It's not that they're going to refuse to ratify it such. It hasn't gone up for a vote. So, you know, refusing to ratify means a vote takes place and the EU Parliament vote against it. That's not what's happened. But they're leaving it dangling. So I think there was supposed to be a vote on the deal yesterday. But whenever it was exactly, and I'm pretty sure there was going to be a vote yesterday, it's been delayed again. It's been removed. It's not going to be voted on just yet, as a direct result of the government's decision to announce that it will unilaterally be changing the terms of the Northern Ireland Protocol. And here's where it can get spicy. Now, I'm going to try and keep this as short as possible. It won't be as short as normal, because if that vote was intended for yesterday, and I am sure that there was a vote yesterday, not necessarily the final vote, but I think there was a vote, then the timing of the government's announcement being the day before is interesting. The potential for speculation is enormous. All through last year, I kept saying, I don't really know if Johnson wants a deal or not. You know, and I went from both angles until about November. At that point, and given how much ground he was conceding after the EU held firm, I did become convinced that he wanted a deal. But let us imagine the following scenario. This is deep, deep speculation, mind you, but why not? Sod it. Let us imagine that he didn't want a deal, but he also didn't want the blame for no deal. Sure, he could have just refused to agree to the terms and blamed the EU for not respecting our sovereignty, but that might not work on enough people. So what if he agreed to whatever the EU demanded, not because he wanted a deal, but because he wanted to show the internal market damage of a Brexit deal, and also that even for exporters, the deal's not that great anyway, because his deal's crap. To get some people on side that something has to be done and that we're not losing a great deal by not having a deal at all. Because remember, the difference between no deal and the deal we have is not actually that much. It's not that much. It's a weak deal. Labour call it a thin deal. So then he waits for the vote in the EU Parliament that's part of the process designed to ratify the deal. Then he drops his bombshell the day before, giving no time for, consideration, talks and stuff like that. The EU Parliament have got to, do they go ahead with the vote or not? Of course they can't go ahead with the vote, so they have no choice but to delay that vote. Now, I don't know how long we can continue to apply the terms of the Brexit deal without it actually being ratified, because at the moment it doesn't really exist in international law as such. Is there a period of time in World Trade Organization rules? I don't actually know that. That would be interesting to find out. But if there is, and this time passes without ratification, because the EU won't ratify it while our government is refusing to implement the earlier deal, which is ratified, by the way, the withdrawal agreement, which comprises the Northern Ireland Protocol and other things, is now international law, then the deal collapses. And Johnson will say, well, it's the EU collapsing the deal. We ratified it. It's they that refused to ratify it. So Johnson gets to blame them. Sure, we suffer more economically and Northern Ireland blows up politically, but his core support remain his core support. Now, I am going to add into here, I don't actually believe that version of events exactly, but at the same time it fits. Why would Johnson order this statement? It wasn't Johnson himself who gave the statement, it was Brandon Lewis, the Northern Ireland Secretary. But why would he order his government to make this statement the day before a vote in the EU Parliament? Why didn't he just wait for the EU to ratify the agreement? Just fits too well. But the reason I don't believe it, even though it fits, is because I still think that this is a stunt for Boris Johnson to keep the nutters in his party on side for a bit longer. He's all about getting towards the end of the day. He's not about long-term thinking. This is definitely how the ERG want things to play out. They always wanted a no-deal Brexit. They couldn't get one because no parliament would vote for that. The last parliament definitely wouldn't have done, but even the current extra insane lot still wouldn't. So they agreed to the withdrawal agreement and the Brexit deal, then called for the government to break the withdrawal agreement and let the EU dissolve the Brexit deal. You end up with an actual no-deal Brexit, a full no-deal Brexit. No withdrawal agreement, no Brexit deal. It's definitely what the likes of Bill Cash and Steve Baker want. I've absolutely no doubt in my mind that that is what is going through their heads right now. That is the path they want to steer Johnson down. I've no doubts. But is Johnson playing ball or just pretending to in order to buy time again? And let's say he is just playing for time and he folds on the issue again, he backs down as he did last year. What happens then? What happens the third time he threatens to drop the protocol? Does there come a point where this cycle becomes so repetitive that the ERG give up on the idea of Johnson ever following through? Is that when they'll issue the leadership challenge? Or what if Johnson is in tune with their thinking? But then, as I was discussing yesterday, how on earth does he think he'll manage at the meeting of the G7 that he's hosting this June? Right now, we are vulnerable, very vulnerable. We're at a point where we need to get agreements with countries around the world. This is not going to happen with this sort of behaviour. And if Johnson thinks he can get the world to choose between the EU and the UK, bloody hell, it's not going to be us, is it? Biden has clearly stated that the EU is a more important partner. This will apply for every other country as well. It's politically and economically much more powerful. It's also a more trustworthy partner to deal with. So the natural trajectory of this path is as follows. One, no deal Brexit. Okay, that means World Trade Organization terms on all our trade. All those exports banned at the moment, still banned, and a load of others as well. You think checks are bad now? The EU are actually being quite nice with us over them. Tariffs. Tariffs on everything. Secondly, political storm in Northern Ireland as the threat of a hard border with Ireland looms large. Third, international isolation. The United States will be furious. In one fell swoop, we'll have pissed off the biggest boys in the Western Democracy Park. Who are we going to have as allies then? Russia? China? Behave yourself. No matter how you approach this, you just cannot see Boris Johnson wanting to go down this path. But every time he even says that he will, he causes permanent damage to our international reputation. That's not me saying it, but former diplomats who understand how these interplays work. Or is this just another brainless ploy to get the EU to agree to the impossible? Another cretinous cliff-edge threat of the sort that he insisted would work before and never worked in 4 years. The government asked for an extension of several years on the grace periods. The EU refused. So the government says, well, we're going to take them anyway. Now, you've got a choice. You can either let us, or you can throw the entire deal on the fire, if you like, throw out the baby with the bathwater. But wouldn't it be better just to agree to the grace period's extension and keep the rest of the deal? But this would be to make at least two serious mistakes of misunderstanding. One, it would be a failure to understand what the grace periods are. It's allowing the transport of goods that are not allowed to be imported into the single market, being transported to a location where there are no checks on the passage of goods into the single market. So the extension of the grace periods is not simply an unreasonable request, it's an impossible request. Throughout this process, the EU have held firm on the integrity of their single market. They would absolutely go for a no deal rather than damage their own market, as much as that would hurt one of their own members. The other thing to bear in mind is the EU haven't actually said you can't have an extension on these grace periods as such. It's just like you can have an extension on Brexit if you like. Go back to a transition period type arrangement. They've allowed that. They're still allowing that now. But we don't want that. We want to pick and choose. Secondly, another misunderstanding is you would be taking the EU for fools. Anyone with any brains knows that you do not give in to threats. If you do, the aggressor doesn't go, oh, thanks very much and that's it. They come back with more demands. After all, you gave them what they wanted. Oh, that was quick. Oh, we should have demanded more. We'll just demand more and we'll just issue the same threat. If they agree to the extension of grace periods, that won't be the end of the dirty play by the Conservatives. It will just embolden them because you will have that nonsense they've been spouting for like 4.5 years. Oh, we'll just stand firm and they'll give in. You've suddenly given credence to it. No. But there are so many potential motivations for what Boris Johnson is doing right now. The only thing I'm certain of is that the UK will be further damaged as a result of this, no matter how it goes. And the political damage has already been ramped up in Northern Ireland. Of course, Conservatives don't care about that, but I did think they cared about the relationship with the United States. Finally, speaking of Northern Ireland, I gather that unionist paramilitary groups have been writing to the Prime Minister. Can't imagine too much good coming of that situation, and it could well cause considerable harm. Just as well, we don't have a diplomatically clumsy Prime Minister who can't be asked to read his briefs or listen to experts. Oh, wait. But those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. If you'd like to support the channel further, please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.